You're welcome today to Techbridge. Techbridge is a program where we tell you a lot about information. We tell you so much about e-commerce. We tell you so much about what government is doing. So we are welcome to Techbridge today. My name is Tony Alagoge.
All right, this is Techbridge, of course, and if it is technology, this is the best place for you to have it. We talk about innovations, we talk about technology, updates around the world of information. Sheyi Fumiola today is my name. You're welcome on board.
And today we'll be looking at podcast, not broadcast. Podcast,
P-O-D-C-A-S-T.
Exactly. So we'll be looking at how to set up podcast, because this is a form of audio broadcasting. It could be interview, it could be series of programs where people can listen, download those stuff and enhance themselves.
Yes, and of course, one of the advantages we see to this is that it's opening up a lot of channel of communication, a lot of channel of opportunities, a digital opportunity for people around the world. No matter your passion, no matter what you like doing, podcast gives you the opportunity to hear your view.
I've been hearing so much about podcast over almost a decade now. And few people really understand what podcast. Some people think it's online radio. Meanwhile, they are not.
It's not. Totally different from online radio. It's totally different. This is, okay, don't let us let the cat out of the bag yet.
All right, we'll be back after this short break. Welcome back from that short break, and like we said, today we're talking about podcast, this audio broadcast online, on internet.
Yes, and it's something so interesting that we have someone that is an authority in this field today. We have with me someone that is always referred to as the grandfather of podcasting in Nigeria. And at the point where we were chatting before we came on board, he admitted that actually he's not going to take that away. This is Dayo Samuel, is a podcast consultant. You're welcome to Techbridge.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Dayo Samuel, you're welcome.
Thank you
to
for having me.
Thank you. And today we want you to elaborate on what podcast is and how we can go into podcast, because Techbridge is a program that enhances and empowers people. So please take it from there.
Okay, first off, a podcast is simply an audio content made available online in an episodic format. So if you have ever seen a movie that happens to have seasons or maybe have episodes, that is more like what a podcast is. The difference is that that can only be seen on screen, while with a podcast, you can actually listen to it with any device that you have. So whether it's an Android phone, whether it's a BlackBerry, whatever phone that you use, it could probably be listened from a PC as well. You can listen from any device as well. So one of the things that I have come to understand about podcasts is beyond just you sitting down to do a recording, a podcast also serves as a marketing tool for your business.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we say that if it is something that has to be in episodes, that means it's not real-time recording, really.
Yes, it may not be real-time recording. It could be pre-recorded, and it could also happen live. When it happens live, a podcast that happens live is, let's say, while this is going on right now, and I'm taping it audio-wise, while an audience is also listening to me. So that way it's happening live, but then after it's happened live, I can also pick up the audio and then serve it to audience that were not around when it was happening live. That way it serves as both live and pre-recorded podcast episode.
That's very interesting. Can you differentiate between podcast channel and online radio?
Okay, the difference between online radio and podcast channel, a podcast is basically just a program out of an entire radio show. So, for example, Techbridge is a program out of the entire programming of Lagos Television.
Yes.
Lagos Television is the station.
Okay.
Techbridge is a program. Taking it to audio, Lagos Television is the online radio.
Okay.
Techbridge is the podcast being produced by the online radio.
I think
that analogy might make it easier to understand. So a podcast is basically one program out of several other programs. So for example, a news station, a radio station, a TV station can actually release their content in audio format for those who are not live in front of their devices. So that way you can actually listen to it as an audio that's made available online.
So we talk about podcast, and let's see how it began in Nigeria. I guess you are in the best position to answer that question.
Okay, so it actually happened that I was reading a book. So I now saw a name. I wanted to find out the person that, what does this person do? And then on landing, when I typed the person's name on Google, I landed on a website. And then I saw a play button on that website. So I clicked play, and then I heard the person's voice. So when I heard the person's voice, I said, ah. So I scrolled down to the footer of the website and checked the address. And saw the audio. So it's possible for somebody to be talking all the way from another part of the world, and for another person to be listening to it in this corner of Benue State. So I said, really, this is something that I should explore.
Wonderful.
So from February 28, 2012, I began to study how podcasts actually run. So I began to began to make a lot of research. And so in June 2014, I released my first podcast episode, that's Audacity to Lead. And when I released it, it happened that a lot of persons started listening, started downloading, and I was blown away by the number of downloads that happened within the first 3 days of me releasing the first episode of the show. So that kind of gave me like, okay, so it means that people can actually listen to this thing, irrespective of the fact that there is a big name. Of course, that time there was no Dayo Samuel.
But now the story has changed.
That was how it got started. That was how I started with podcast, actually. And before that time, I think the few persons I know were doing podcasts then could probably release a podcast this month, and then the next time you hear it maybe December.
It's not
so
something
there was no
that
continuity with it. So I stepped into the game and I said, something has to change. We have to also build a community around here in Nigeria where people can actually say, okay, there's a thriving industry with podcasting. And
this is very interesting. Honestly, very interesting. If a young man like you could do that, I think anybody out there can do it.
Sure.
Now, if I need to set up a podcast channel, what are the things I will need? What are the requirements? What are the details?
I love this question because it's one question I usually get almost every time. Now, if you're listening to me right now, if you're watching me right now, and you have a device, you have a smartphone with you, you already have the requirement to start a podcast. In fact, one of the things I have done was to sit down and say, okay, how can somebody actually start a podcast without necessarily having to get all the studio gears that some of us like to have? At least, how can we make it a simple thing for them? So, for example, if you use an Android phone, or maybe you use a BlackBerry, or maybe you use an iPhone, if you go to your Play Store on Google and you type in voice recorder, you'll practically find several apps. Now, there are some that I usually recommend based on the kind of quality they will produce. There are some that I recommend as well for those who use iPhone. There are those I recommend for those who use BlackBerry as well. So all of that actually lets you to pick up your phone, talk into your phone, and do your recording, and practically upload it somewhere that people can listen to. That's as simple as it can for you to get started. So you don't have to wait till the time when you have a big studio, or maybe you have to enter into a studio to go and do recording.
So virtually everybody has access to phones. So
actually,
that is
how simple
it is. It sounds very simple.
Yes.
But somebody wants to commercialize it. How will it do that?
Commercializing a podcast, which is also something they call monetizing a podcast.
Okay.
It's simply what you, like I said at the beginning of this show, I said a podcast is also a marketing tool. As a marketing tool that does not bring in income is basically not marketing, right?
It's charity.
So, I like that, it's charity. So what I have learned in my over 4 years of doing podcasts is the fact that, first off, if you are launching a podcast, you should have something at the back end. So that may be that you have a program, you have a service, you have a product that you are offering people. It could practically be anything, but as long as it's a program, a service, or a product. Now, people don't just buy products, people buy the benefits, the beneficial stuff that the product or the service or the program has. So if your podcast is about tech, for example, you're listening to Techbridge right now, and Sheifumi has a product that you can actually buy right now. If you go to so-and-so link right now, you can pick it up, and then I continue with my show. So that's what have I done? I've simply marketed to
smart.
you. I've marketed to you, and if we have about 400 people listening to a podcast, from my own statistics, from our own research back in our own field, from our statistics, all you need to have a thriving business out of a podcast is just 20% of your audience. So if you have 400 people listening to your show, 20% of 400 people is how much? That's about 40. If 40 people buy your product, knowing that this is a product that actually brings in income for you, if 40 people buy your product, does that add to the bottom line?
Sure.
So in that case, it means that if you actually do your job well on your show, educate people first of all. Once you educate people, give them enough education, entertain them as well. Let it not be dry. So get them to at least say, I like listening to this guy. That's part of the entertainment, right?
Okay.
Now, inspire them to make an action. Inspire them to take an action. Once you can inspire them to take an action, any product you offer them at that point, or any program or any service you offer them at that point, it makes it easy for them to say yes to it. So that way, if you incorporate your show along with your product, your program, or a service you're offering. So if you're a consultant, for example, part of what you can offer on your show is for people to actually consult with you to have that particular solution. So in the case of tech, maybe they're trying to set up websites, maybe they're trying to get into the tech space, or trying to do some certain marketing. As a tech consultant, your podcast focusing on tech should be able to get people to come do business with you.
Okay, so I think if I pick something from what you said, you talk about the ingredients of a podcast. You talked about educating people. Yeah. Then the next one should be that it should entertain people, and it has to inspire them. Yeah, I think someone is noting that now. Okay, if you want to scale it up, you said that it can be as little as having your smartphone. But if you have to scale it up, yes, we have to consider that the environment needs to be quiet because the audio needs to be very good. So what and what should we need? What and what should we look at the minimal level? If
you are trying to scale up your podcast to a level where you can actually do a lot more post-production, that's what we call it. Okay. So if you're trying to do a lot more post-production, you should be thinking of getting things like a microphone, you should be thinking of getting things like a mixer, though it's not always necessary. A microphone, a USB microphone, that's my usual recommendation. Okay. So a USB microphone combined with your laptop, you sit down, record into your laptop, and there's a free software that you can actually use to do your production. Okay. It's basically free. In fact, it has always been free for 15 years. Really? The name of the software is Audacity. It's been free for 15 years.
Oh. You're reading my mind.
You know the funny thing? I'm interested in this stuff. Why? Because in the social media space, some people will tell you that podcast is not relevant. But from what you've said now, it's very relevant. It's watching someone's appetite. For pushing out episode, talk shows, series, and all those stuff. Let's take those requirements one by one. Quiet environment. Yes. Sure. PC. Yes. Yeah. And microphone. USB microphone. Yeah. Because I don't want people to be lost during this discussion. I want them to say, okay, something I can do like you are doing it. I click my TV. So quiet environment, PC like Mac system or any kind of laptop, microphone, software like Audacity, which is free. Mixer, and any other thing.
In fact, I usually strike out the mixer because if you know how to connect any USB to a laptop, such that you can extract data from that USB. That's basically how the mic works. So you just connect it to your laptop and basically turn on the recorder, which is the software. Once you turn it on, and then you sit down and record, and you're good to go. Post-production, that one is a different thing entirely. Because usually when people get started with podcasts like that, you make mistakes like or maybe you even do what we call plosives when it comes to elocution. There are some things we call plosives like BDP, all those strong words. So if they are the ones that you tend to have problems with, one of the ways you can actually eliminate that is to pick an handkerchief, place it over your microphone.
That's a makeshift instead
and
of a pop filter.
Instead of a pop filter, because you may even say that you are trying to look for pop filter. For example, for me, when I started, my basic challenge was the fact that, in fact, my first episode, while I was recording, I was unaware of the fact that a trailer passed my back
while you were recording.
While I was recording, because I was engrossed. So somebody listened to it from Abuja one day and said, "Dayo, did you record it on the road?" I don't understand. He said, "Go and check so point in your podcast. You will hear a trailer passing." So I went to listen and I said, "Oh my God."
So over time, from the experience, now you know what to do, how to polish it, how to upscale it, and other stuff. Okay, somebody somewhere will start from somewhere, just like you have done.
Great. All right, I think we have to split this into 2 episodes now. Okay. We've stopped at the place of getting everything done into your laptop, but we've not talked about how to get it online.
Oh, great.
And we've not talked about some other enhancements that we have to do. Okay. I think that should be in the next episode, right?
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap up this episode.
All right, that's good. Let's go on short break first, then we'll come back. Welcome back from this wonderful discussion. It has been mind-boggling.
And that is just the tip of the iceberg. From what Samuel is saying, I think he has a lot to offer us.
A lot.
Yes.
And a lot.
There is something that I also discovered that with technology, there is no limit.
No barrier.
No barrier.
No limit.
No limit at all.
Oh, see, I keep wondering, sorry to say, people are looking for a job. But jobs are somewhere. Looking for them to take him up or take it up, sorry. So podcast is something you can do. We have a lot of things to discuss. You can pick drama series, you can pick books, reading, you can interview people, you can request for things happening in the country.
Even your comedy, you can
comedies, messages in the church and in mosque,
life coach,
educational things, sports, package them and upload them.
Take advantage of technology.
And you have 2 ways of gaining. Marketing is one.
Yep.
People can download and subscribe and pay you, and a lot of other things.
I think that is, we've not really at the end of this show. We are still going to have the 2nd episode, like we noted. So I think that is where we have to go on this show today.
We have to go.
All right, but before we go, we'd like to tell you that you can connect with us on our various social media platforms. We are on Facebook. Any of our previous episodes you can watch on Facebook. You can also check us on our YouTube channel, that is Techbridge LTV. And of course, you can connect with us on our Twitter handle, Lagos Television on Twitter. You just heard that. And of course, you have any product, any service you want to put on this show, this is the best show. If you have anything doing with technology, this is the best show for you.
Absolutely right. So see you next week. My name is Tony Alagoke, signing out.
All right, Sheyi Fumola, today is my name. Hope to see you some other time. Bye for now.